Hello and welcome everyone. This is Utkarsh Raj, first year student at IIT Roorkee, and through this video I would like to share my case study on Titanic dataset. So let me tell you, this is one of the project on data science exploration journey. So let's move to the problem statement. As many of you have heard about Titanic, so on April 15, 1912, during its first journey, the widely considered unsinkable RMS Titanic sank after colliding with an iceberg. Unfortunately, there weren't enough lifeboats for everyone on board, resulting in the death of 1,502 out of 2,224 passengers and crew members. While there were some of the element of luck involved in surviving, it seems like some group of people were more likely to survive than others. In this challenge, we are asked to build a predictive model that answers the questions, and the question is, what sort of people were more likely to survive? So for that we have a data set and the source is Kaggle, and in that data set we have a data of 891 passengers only. So in that particular data set we have 12 features for a particular passenger, and those are like passenger ID, unique ID of a passenger, then survived, if the passenger survived, yes or no. Then again passenger class, there were 3 classes, first, second and third in that particular Titanic. The name of the passenger, and then sex of the passenger, and then age of the passenger, and then number of siblings, spouse abroad, the number of parents, children abroad, ticket number, and then passenger fare, then cabin number, and the port of embarkation, like from where they depart for the journey. So using these features I will make some models from different class using different classifiers in machine learning, and then I will predict the model with a given input. Then I will check that which model is predicting nicely with a maximum accuracy. So we are going to use 5 different kinds of model. So before that, let me read the data, like what the data is telling about. So this is a part of data pre-processing. On reading the data set using Python code, I came to know that for 687 passengers, the cabin column is empty, null, and then 177 passengers, the age column is null, and for 2 passenger, embarked column is null. So in cabin column we don't have almost 77% of the data, so we can drop these features for our modeling, because filling it with the random values will not be feasible for the machine to learn nicely. In the age column we don't have almost about 20% of the data, so we can either fill it by 0 or average value, or there are a lot of methods to deal with the data. But in this case I will fill nan by mean value, as it does not change the overall mean of the data. But if I fill it by 0, then the overall mean will be reduced by some value. So on calculating the mean value, I got it is 29.699, so I am filling in this value with 29.699 for those passengers who don't have the age values. In the embarked column we don't have data of 2 passengers, so I am going to drop those 2 passengers values, or either I can fill it by the 3 options we have. So this is called I have filled the nan value, null values with some of the values by average, and I drop the cabin column, and I again fill the embarked column with the random values. Now let's see what is the outlier. We are going to treat the outliers now. So an outlier is a data point in the data set that is distinct from all the observations. For example, if we have data of ages, then we have 10 members, and for 9 members the data is ranging from 0 to 100, and for the 10th member the data the age is 170. So this data is an outlier for the whole data. So how to treat it? Now we have basically 2 types of outlier treatment method. The first is interquartile range method, and then again second is Z-score method. So in this data set I will use the Z-score method to treat the data set. So we will find the Z-score for each of the data point, and and if the Z-score is greater than 3, 3 standard deviation, then I will drop those data. So on finding the given data, we have 7 rows with the outlier. So I am going to remove those 7 rows or the data of 7 passenger. So initially we have like 889 data, and now we dropped the 7 of them, so it came to be 882 now. So likewise I remove the outlier, and now we have data of about 882 passengers. Now let's encode our dataset. So what is encoding dataset? The encoding is a process of converting the data or a given sequence of characters, symbol, alphabets into the specific format. Many times when we pass our data to the certain model, then the input should be in the numerical format rather than in the string. So before passing it to the model, we have to convert our data into numerical format. So let's look at the dataset now. So as I drop the cabin column, so it is not visible here. We have passenger ID, survived, passenger classes, and name, sex, age, sibling and spouse, parch, and then ticket, fare, embarked. Now as you can see in the embarked section, we have a string. In the name section also we have a string. In the sex section also we have a string. So what I am going to do, I am going to convert those string values into the numerical format. So as we have only 3 options in the embarked column, so I can convert it into the numerical format. But as you can see in the name, we have many different kinds of string, and I don't think so that name is going to be any factor that will lead a passenger to be survived or not survived. So in the future processing also I am going to drop this name column. Okay, then I will convert this male and female to 1 and 0. We have passenger classes like 3 to 1, so I will convert into the 2 parameters like 00 for something and 01 for something and 10 for something. So it will be easier for the model to learn it. Then again, ticket number is not going to do much with the dataset. So let's move on and let's see how it is processed. So like you can see, I converted this male and female to 1 and 0, and 1 representing male and 0 representing female. Again similarly for the passenger classes, we have 3 classes, and I convert 01 for third class, 00 for first class, and 10 for the second class. Okay. Then similarly we have the embarked column. In that I converted 01 for Southampton and 00 for Cherbourg, and then 10 for Queenstown. Okay. Similarly, now what I am going to do, I am going to drop the previous columns. Previous columns mean the previous values in other format, like embarked was in string format, and then sex was in other format, and then passenger classes was in other format. So I am going to drop these 3 one, and I am going to add those new one. Okay, so after adding those things I got this value. And once again please note that I dropped the name column also and ticket columns also, as it is not going to be helpful in our prediction model. So finally we have a model now in which every value is in numerical format so that the model can understand it clearly. Now let's do some EDA, like which feature is more important, and then what are the ratio of the male died, female died, what are the ratio, in which class the more passenger died, and in which class the more passengers survived, and what is the age group in which the more survival rate is there. So this is called EDA, exploring data analysis. So using some of the Python code, using this Seaborn library, I converted those data set into the pictorial representation, pictorial graph, so that the understanding will be nicely explained. Now you can see in the first graph only we have in the x-axis we have a sex column, and then in the y-axis we have count column. So as you can clearly see, like this blue bar graph showing the male passenger survived, and then again the another blue line is showing, blue bar graph is showing the female passenger survived. So similarly you can count the passengers who survived or who died in male and female category both. Now in the second graph is telling you about the passenger classes. We have 3 passenger classes, and you can see the number of people survived or number of people death or not survived in particular classes. So this is showing a nice graph so that you can understand the number nicely. And what is the dominating feature is the third class has not survived, and the surviving rate is more in the first class, okay, and also in third class. But in the third class also you can see the death rate is more as compared to any other, okay, but in the first class the death rate is very less. So you can conclude that the passenger who was traveling in first class is more likely to survive, okay. Then similarly we can see in the age group, like which age group is more likely to survive and which age group is not likely to survive, okay. Here 0 is representing that it is not survived and 1 is representing that it has survived, okay. Now see the next graph, okay. The next graph is combined, like it has three things. It has survival, non-survival, it has embarked, it has classes. So you can see how those three classes are divided and from where the people embarked for the journey. And you can see in the third class the more number of death is recorded, no matter from where the people has been departed, okay. Then again the second graph is telling about the fear range and survival rate, and you can clearly see that the more survival rate is for those who paid more. So these are some of the things from which you can conclude that which feature is more dominant, and in that particular features also which class is more dominant. So as you can see, the fear range, which the people with who paid more is more likely to survive. The people in the third class is more likely to not survive. Similarly, which age people is more likely to survive and which is not. So these are some of the exploring data analysis part. Now we are moving to the error metric, like from which we are going to judge the model. Like we have 5 kinds of model, and how we determine which model is good for the prediction. So as you know, evaluating metrics or evaluating a model is a core part of the building an effective machine learning model. So there are several evaluation metrics such as confusion metrics, F1 score, gain and lift chart, Kolmogorov chart, then AUC ROC curve, then log loss, then Gini coefficient, and there are many kinds of this, okay. So in this we are, let's see what is the confusion matrix. So with the confusion matrix everything is related. As you can see, mainly in the binary classification we have the class model with the binary classification. So how it is binary classification, the result is like yes or no. It is in two different values, either it is survived or it is not survived, okay. So we have to judge with the different features that if the particular people is survived or not survived. So this is a binary classification model. Now in the binary classification model we have some actual values and some predicted values. So we know some of the actual values, we are going to train the data set, train the model, and then again we are trying to predict from the different input size, and for particular input we know the actual values, okay. So what we are doing, we are comparing the actual values and we are comparing with the predicted values, and we are judging how the model get trained or not, how good or how nicely the model is trained. Now you can see like there are 4 cases. The cases are true positive, true negatives, false positive and false negative. So here true positive represents that a particular person has survived and model also predicted that it has survived. Then again the false positive refers that the particular person actually not survived, but model predicted that he or she has survived. Then false negative for those who actually survived but model predicted that is not survived. And similarly true negative is for those who actually not survived and model also predicted that it has not survived. So we have in these 4 kinds we have 2 positive values, 2 negative values, or you can say two true values and 2 false values. So all those true positives and true negative are of our use because it is in our favor and machine is also predicting correctly. But those which are not in our favor, the false negative and false positive cases. So our main aim is to reduce these cases. The cases with false positive and false negative is to be reduced. Generally, in that balanced data set means that the number of outcome, the ratio of the outcome, this ratio of yes and ratio of no is maintained like 50-50. Like 50% of the data is saying that yes, it is survived, and 50% is saying it is not survived. And also like 60-40 is also good, 70-30 is also good, but after that 80% and 20%, like 20% of data set is saying it has not survived, and 80% of the data set is saying it is survived. And if I am going to train with this data set, so our model will most of the time will predict that it has survived. So whenever we have this kind of unbalanced data set, then prediction model will become very biased kind of thing. So our most of the data set is saying that the people is survived or it is not survived. So I am considering that my data set is not balanced. So if the data set is balanced, I will consider the accuracy for the judgment, where the accuracy will be true positive plus true negative divided by all those four conditions. But here I am considering my data set to be unbalanced, not balanced. Then we have two options. Those are like recall and precision, and those depend on what is important. Like false positive is important for you or false negative is important for you. If you want to reduce this false negative value, then you have to go with the recall, and if you want to reduce this false positive value, then you have to go with the precision. So both these things are different. Like false negative is saying that it is actually survived, but model is predicting not survived. False positive is saying it is not survived, but model is predicting them as survived. But in our case, the both values is very much important. Like I want to reduce this false positive and false negative also, but in some cases one of them is very much crucial. So for that, precision and recall is used. But in our case, both is important. Then we have to use this F1 score. So F1 score is generally the harmonic mean of this recall and precision. You can clearly understand from this formula. So I'm going to predict my model I am going to judge my model actually with this F1 score values. So now I got this error metric, my data set is ready. So now let's go move to the models. So the first model is regression. We have two kinds of regression model, linear regression and logistic regression. Here basically we are going to use logistic regression because the output is in yes or no. Okay, so whenever the categorical output is there, most of the time we are using logistic regression. So here we are going to use logistic regression, and in this model I am using the assuming the default threshold value as 0.5, assuming that if the model predicts something between 0.5 to 1, it is considered as 1, and if the model is considering predicting something between 0 to 0.5, or you can say before 0.5, then it will be coming under the 0 case. So this is the default threshold value I am defining. Now before passing this to the any kind of model, I am splitting the data set. Like if I have 100% of the data set, then I am splitting it into the two parts, one part for training and one part of the prediction. So I am training the model with above 60% of the data set, and I am considering, or I am judging the model, predicting the model with this below 40% of the data set. So I just splitted them into the four parts: X train, Y train, X test and Y test. Okay, so I have X train model and Y train model. Using this I trained the model, logistic regression model, and then I predicted using the X test, and I got some Y predicted value. So now Y predicted value is those value which is predicted by the model, and Y test is actual value. So predicted value is Y pred and actual value is Y test. So what I am going to do, I am passing through this matrix, our judgment matrix, and I have calculated. This is a confusion matrix. You can see 1 3 1 2 cross 2 matrix is there, and this is showing true positive, this is showing true negative, and then false positive and false negative similarly. So you can see, and I calculated everything, like precision also I also calculated recall, I also calculated F1 score. So you can see the F1 score for 1 is 0.69, and this is what I am going to use for the judgment. We also have this accuracy, but I am not going to use this accuracy for the judgment. So here we can see from the report that F1 score is 0.69, and you also can see that from the formula of F1 score, Why it is less? Most of the time, due to this precision and recall, only two things are there. So you can see here the recall is very less. What this means? The recall is less means our false negative value is more. So if the false negative value is more, here you can see the false negative value is 38 and the false positive value is 25. So our false negative value is more as compared to the false negative. So this is the factor that's why our F1 score is reduced to 0.69. Now move to the other model. This is our first model, and then let's move to the second model. This is the decision tree. Our decision tree is a decision support tool that uses a tree-like model of decisions and their possible consequences. It also includes chance event outcomes. One way to display an algorithm that only contains conditional and control statement. Okay, so as you can see, our statement is conditional. Here I set the parameter as default, and you can see the report I got from the model treatment. So I passed with that x train and y train, and then I predicted value with the x test, and I got this y predict 2. Now you can see in the confusion matrix we have 128 values with the true positive, and then 71 with the true negatives, then 28, 38. Or in the regression also we have like 38 and 25, and here also we have 38 and 28. Ratio is almost same. So also you can see the F1 score is almost similar to the previous model. So yes, this is how, and you can see from the report that F1 score is 0.68, and again this is because of less recall. Recall means the false negative value is more. Now the third model is our random forest model. Our random forest is a meta estimator that fits a number of decision tree classifiers on various subsamples of the dataset and used averaging to improve the predictive accuracy to control overfitting. Here also I set the parameters as default. It is like random forest is one, you can say, the advanced techniques, advanced model of decision tree. It has used different kinds of decision tree, and using one decision tree the model gets some values, and then again using those values the next step is treated, next decision tree is trained. So if I pass the x train and y train, so it trained the model with the first layer of decision tree, then again with those trained outcome it used to train the other layer of the decision tree. Similarly it goes by layer. So this is how it works, and you can see the report, accuracy report. Here we have 137 and 74, actually it increased. Now you can see we have less number of false positive, and again little less number of false negative also. Similarly you can see the F1 score of this model has also increased, and now it is about 0.73. So from the data you can see the F1 score is 0.73, and this is because again you can see the recall is less but precision has increased nicely. Now moving to the next model, we have XGBoost model. So this is a gradient boosting, is a supervised learning algorithm which attempts to accurately predict a target variable by combining the estimate of the set of the simpler or weaker models. Here also I set the default parameters to get the model, get the prediction value, and again you can see the accuracy report is given, and here also we have less number of false positive, but yes, less number of false negative also. Now again the F1 score is 0.75. it is bit improved from the previous all those models, and it is came to about 0.75, and also you can see the recall is also improved very nicely, and precision is also good. Now moving to the next model, we have neural network system. Neural network is a computational learning system that uses network of functions to understand and translate a data input of one form into a desired output, usually in the another form. Here I trained the model in 4 layers and with layer size of 10, 6, 3 and 1. Like in first layer we have 10 layer size, then again in second we have 6 layer size, then again 3 layer size, and the outcome is 1 layer respectively. As the dataset is large, I assume batch size to be 9 because I divided the model into 9 batch sizes, so that, and I considered the epochs to be 80. So it will read the model 80 times, and after each reading the performance will increase. So you can see here also, like, loss decreases from 0.69 to 0.337, and the accuracy increases to 0.60 to 0.85. Now coming to the accuracy report, you can see here the accuracy report is 0.73, a bit less than XGBoost, and you can also see that precision has reduced now. So we have less precision also. Recall is about 0.71. So again it is coming out to be 0.73, and it is more close to this XGBoost as compared to other, and it is also similar to this random forest also. So maybe if we change this epoch value, if we change this batch size value, then the F1 score will little become less or more, but more likely to be in this range only. So this is how I trained the model. I trained all these 5 models, and for every model we have some accuracy score, and we are going to judge it through the F1 score. Now coming to the performance comparison, we have this logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, XGBoost, and neural network. So on comparing all the model, I concluded that because in F1 score is maximum in XGBoost, and this is what our parameter to judge the model. So here I can consider this XGBoost as one of the best model, you can say, among these. Although if we change the parameters, if we change the default values parameter, then the F1 score will become a little less or little good also. So this is how I predicted the models, and I trained the model, then I make the predictions, then I calculated the F1 score, precision, recall, and I compared them and came to the conclusion that XGBoost is one of the best model out of these 5 to be used, or to be predict that which is more likely to survive. Okay, so this is the case study as of now, and thank you for being with me as of now. Okay, thank you.